Hello and welcome to the Powerful Personal Brand Podcast, where I share tips to help and inspire you to build a great personal brand to increase your visibility and authority. I am your host, Claire Bahn, and I'm a personal brand strategist and the CEO and founder of Claire Bahn Group. And on today's episode, I'm going to be discussing why someone should hire a personal brand strategist, what a personal brand strategist does, and how they can actually help you. So I'm talking about this because I get this question a lot. I'm going to be very honest with you about what a personal brand strategist does and how you can actually benefit from it. But I wanted to just lay it all out there so that you really understood what someone like me does and maybe what they don't do. So the reason we hire consultants or even an assistant, the reason you hire anybody is because either you don't have the expertise in that particular area or you don't have the time. So usually those are the reasons why people hire somebody. And the biggest reason that I see why someone can actually benefit from working with a personal brand strategist is because you need a great deal of objectivity to come up with a strong personal brand strategy. A lot of us don't have that objectivity when it comes to ourselves and what we need. The best personal brands have two things. One, they actually have a lot of giving. I've talked about altruism. You have to give information freely in order to kind of just build that really strong authority. The next thing that you need is you really need to know that your personal brand isn't for you. It is for your ideal audience, right? You're creating that content that your ideal audience wants to know, not what you feel like writing about, what you feel like posting about. Unfortunately, that doesn't really matter unless you're someone like Kim Kardashian and people just want to see what's going to happen with you. If you're not in that boat, you need to build your personal brand around what people want to know. Your ideal audience wants to know, share that experience and expertise with them, and that's going to build the know, like, and trust factor that you want. That's going to get that ROI for your personal brand. Everyone has at least two audiences, whether we like it or not. Probably one of the most important audiences is Google. And that is because when someone either they do a search on you specifically or they're doing a search on your area of expertise, you want to show up exactly how you're branded, right? You want to show up. I want to show up as a personal brand strategist, a personal brand coach, a personal branding expert, all of those things. So I create content around those. I answer people's questions like, what are personal branding examples of personal branding statements? Because that's what people are asking about my area of expertise, and that is what I can share. So you need to know what people are actively searching for on Google and create content around that. That is really going to help you because Google, it's just really the most important audience. Building that know, like, and trust factor is really just being everywhere, right? I do a search on, think of all those things I just listed off. Personal branding expert, personal branding strategist, personal branding consultant, personal brand examples. You do a search on all of those, I will show up. You can't get away from me. That is like, okay, well, Google thinks that Claire Bahn is an expert, so maybe I should look at Claire Bahn. That is why it's so important. So 65%, this was kind of an old stat, but 65% of people see Google as really the top place that shows who the experts are. So you actually have a lot to do with that. You can actually create content so that Google will find it and actually say, you know what? Yeah, this person is an expert. This is great content. And we're going to put it in here when someone does search on it. The next thing is when they're searching for you specifically, you want to make sure that the search engines see you as who you really are, what the brand that you want to put out there. Hopefully it's a true brand and not a fake brand, but you have to play the game because that is the game. So you can just say, hey, I don't want to do a blog. I don't want to do YouTube. I don't want to do these things. People should just know about me. Well, okay. So you're going to sit there by yourself, hoping and wishing that were true when it's not. And that's it. End of story. Done. Gone. Never going to be seen again. The people that that create content and are out there and understand that Google is the one that they need to do all this stuff for, those are the people that are going to get out there. They're going to be seen. They're going to be seen as the authority. And those are the people that have a great strategy. A lot of times those people did not do it alone. They hired a strategist to either come up with the initial strategy. They hired an agency like mine, Bahn Group, where they said, okay, we're going to come up with a strategy and we're also going to implement for you. There's so many things that go into it. And if you go out there and you're like, I'm going to brand myself, and what you think branding is, I'm just going to post on social media, it doesn't do enough. You know, if you're in a really crowded field, there are a lot of people out there that are doing it right, have hired help, have a lot of people working for them, and they are blanketing every channel. They are doing everything. You have to get above them. That's a lot of work, and it takes a strategy to do that. So that's one of the biggest things to remember, is that you have to do it right, and you have to know marketing to effectively do the best personal brand strategy and to have the best personal brand. You have to know marketing. You have to know all of the keys and things that ultimately, again, Google wants you to do and will get you in front of your ideal audience when they're actively searching for answers to the questions that they have. Tell me how to write a personal brand statement, that kind of thing. So I believe in practicing what I preach. So what am I doing to make sure that my personal brand strategy is very cohesive? So I do this podcast, whether you're listening to it, on an audio channel or you're seeing this on YouTube. This is SEO. This content will be able to be seen far beyond just this exact moment that you're listening to it. It'll be SEO'd, it'll be on Google, and people will be able to find it years from now. So I create weekly content, whether it is a podcast, a blog, a YouTube video, or all of the above. And it is consistent. I'm constantly doing that. And again, there's a strategy behind it. What are people asking? What are the types of things that my clients want to know? A lot of the times I'm giving you examples. A lot of these blogs and videos and podcasts that I do, they're literally come from my team, things that we learn along the way, things that I learned during consultations, things that I learned during a podcast interview or any other press interview that I do. I come up with thoughts, ideas, people come at me with questions, and I want to make sure that I answer them because ultimately people want to know that, and it builds my authority. So if I really want to get speaking engagements, I did that in a previous podcast, or whatever it is that I want, right? I want to get funding for my business. I want to get, a promotion for my job. I ultimately have to put myself out there, and there has to be a strategy to get where I want to go. You have to know where you are, and you have to know where you want to be. You have to have, short-term goals, long-term goals, and you have to really figure out, okay, how am I actually going to attain that? And again, you go back to that objectivity that I was talking about. Many people either, one, can't be objective about themselves, or two, they don't have the skills needed to implement all of this, come up with a strategy. And many of us don't have the time. So I can be quite honest with you. I do not do it alone. I 100% do not do it alone. I have a very large team. I've got video editors, I've got social media teams, I've got blog writers. I have so much help, and ultimately help our clients as well. But yeah, I practice what I preach. And having a strategist to help you, whether it's coming up with your initial strategy and saying, okay, this is how you need to do it, or literally helping you implement, that is what a personal brand strategist does. And that is why having an expert is so valuable. Because I've had business coaches, I have had so many coaches along the way to help me get from where I started to where I am today. So a lot of people will look at where someone is today, but they didn't see the work that it took to get there and the experts that were hired to help you get there. And that's ultimately what, leveraging expertise, leveraging help. That's how people kind of get that little bump that you're like, where did this person come from? It's because they had a strategy. More than likely, they hired an expert to really just get them out there. And you have to be objective. A lot of times, again, people want to post what they want to post. They don't think about the strategy. The ones that you see that are really successful have a strategy. And their personal brand isn't done for them. It is done for other people. And I've talked about, Gary Vaynerchuk in previous episodes and things like that. But if you do your research, he started out working at his father's wine store in New Jersey, I believe. And really just kind of had to learn a lot of stuff along the way. But I mean, literally that was in his 20s. And now he's in his 40s. So people kind of look at where he is today and the things that he talks about today, but he had to learn it the hard way. A lot of what ultimately my very first job, in New York, I was working in a financial services firm, and I did marketing for them. So I always have known marketing and have worked in the marketing arena, but ultimately doing it for myself on my own, for my businesses, that's where I learned how to really do it effectively. And yeah, I mean, creativity, we tell our team this a lot because a lot of the things that we do, we work as a team. Creativity cannot be done alone. So if you are by yourself, trying to come up with your strategy, come up with your content, do your videos, and do everything, that's a lot for you to do. And maybe you have some great ideas and you're going to be really strong out of the gate, but over time, it may kind of fall off because ultimately having people from the outside to objectively look at what you've done, what you can do, again, what Google wants you to do, all of that will really help you get to that next level. And again, the objectivity is going to be great. Having a helping hand in creativity, because creativity cannot be done alone. It just can't. No one that's really creative is a loner. And even if someone I'm thinking a painter or whatever, they have to have outside sources and do other things to absorb other ideas, things that might trigger a thought. Oh, that's really great. Maybe I should do that. So I don't ultimately mean that a strategist is the one that's going to give you all these ideas. They can, but ultimately, again, reading books, you have to be out there in the world. And sometimes having someone that's a strategist can actually just really kind of help you get to that next level faster. Because I know that everybody always wants that ROI, right? What is the ROI on my personal brand? I really need to do this. But getting help in the form of a personal brand strategist can really help you get that ROI faster than doing it alone. So that's ultimately kind of all the benefits laid out, all the kind of who, what, when, where, why about what a personal brand strategist does and how they can help you. So I hope that you found this useful. And remember, the single most important reason to hire really any expert is oftentimes people cannot be objective when it comes to themselves. So hiring an outside expert really can just help you with that objectivity to create the best personal brand possible. So anyway, I hope you like this episode, and I will see you in the next one. Please throw a comment down below. Let me know if you have any ideas for things that you want me to cover in the next episode, and I really appreciate it. And I will see you next time. Bye.